just a couple of weeks ago until the 14th edition of Light Middle East Region's dedicated trade show for lighting design and architecture. More than 300 exhibitors from 30 countries will be participating at this 3-day event from the 15th to the 17th of October. And that is, of course, including Creation. I'm with Dharmendra Patel, the Managing Director of Creation. Dharmendra, thank you very much for being with us.
Pleasure having you around.
You've been in the market for more than 20 years, Middle East, more than 700 projects in that time. That's quite impressive.
Indeed, thank you.
Tell us how you became to be one of the leading players in the market.
We started off in 1998 and we were predominantly a controls company. Somewhere down the line, when the LED technology just came into being, we found out that there was a great degree of communication gap, a great degree of mismatch as to how the LEDs will be controlled, and nobody quite knew it. And we picked up that gap very early on and decided that this is the area where we are going to play. But then, as they say, every good thing one leads to another, and a situation came from 2004, 2005 onwards where some of our contractor friends with whom we had worked in the past, they said, listen, you know everything, why don't you just put in a complete package together of controls and lighting and take the full responsibility. And that's how we then diversified from just being a controls company to a full-fledged integrated company. And then in 2007, we started off what is known as a project management. And we then started giving out our experiences and our expertise to other projects where perhaps my lighting and my control systems were not involved, but we had the experience of executing or project managing that project. So we now have lighting, automation, and project management.
You have around 18 brands and partners within your portfolio, is
yes.
that right?
Yes.
What are some of the key
key ones that we work with are Mode Lighting out of England. We recently signed up as an exclusive distributor for Helva. And then we have in lighting, we have Lamp 83, which we work out of. In sensors, we are exclusive with Dandlers out of England. So we have good brands, proven track records, like any of the companies that you take in. They are at least 35, 40 years old, and they are at the top notch within their own industry.
Yeah, all key sort of brands, aren't they? Yeah. More than 700 projects in the region. You've done projects in commercial, hospitality, retail, pretty much any sort of vertical you've been involved with. What are the sort of the key verticals that you see potential growth in the sort of coming 5 to 10 years in the Middle East region?
Hospitality, that's one area where I see a lot of potential in bringing in technology. While today the hotels are being built, but over a period of 5 years, they would need to go for a revamping with a more sustainable lighting solution. So we are looking at that avenue, not only the new hotels, but hotels 5 years down the line. We are also looking at hospitals. Dubai or UAE is making a major thrust towards medical tourism, and that is taking shape. We first looked at the Dubai healthcare, then recently, about earlier this year, we handed over one of the most premium hospitals in this city, which is the King's College Hospital. And we were invited there not only to do the controls, but the entire lighting package, design, supply, make sure that it is installed properly, so proper project management on it.
Must be quite technical, really, doing lighting for hospitals and health.
Very technical, very stringent, but rewarding, enjoyable, fun one, yeah.
I guess it must be hard for you to kind of pinpoint. I mean, you've as managing as the owner or the founder of Creation, having to kind of think about over 700 projects, but what really kind of stands out for you?
In recent past, the Qasr Al Hosn project in Abu Dhabi, that was brilliant for us. It gave us a opportunity to bring in as many technologies as we could. Yeah. While the whole project is one, but if you look at it on a micro level, then there are several pockets that stand alone and that are standalone. And after we finished the whole project, we realized that 6-7 different standalones we were able to combine as one, We spend quality time with the designer and the client to note down every single minute detail of their expectation, and we then internally have a discussion. We write the software, we upload it, we try it out. So our execution at the site is literally go in, fix it and get out.
Let's talk about human-centric lighting, because that's obviously a relatively new science, a new area of lighting, and you of course are in the process now of a little project on that, aren't you?
Well, we picked up this circadian lighting about 4 years ago and we were working on it. We went a step further to see whether it adds wellness to the person. The first platform that I got was none other than my own office. So we started experimenting with the color temperature of the light, the control system, and how it affected my own employees. And after we experimented for a period of time and I looked at the data, we are completing our work an hour before the allocated time. So can we now reduce our working hours? And they said, great. So I secretly behind the scene was working on that happiness quotient, but what added enormous value was the lighting and the control. And I'm happy that today we work 1 hour less. I'm going to experiment, as I was telling you, that we would like to take it to the next higher level, that can we work 4 days a week? I seriously want in January to implement this on a trial basis to see how a 4-day week works, because that would seriously up my happiness quotient and the wellness quotient, and that should be an industry benchmark.
Yeah, industry benchmark,
Yeah.
and centered around lighting essentially, and how lighting is
I
controlled
mean,
in the environment.
if this is successful, I wish to then share the data with the lighting designer fraternity, the lighting fraternity, to say this data is available, this is what I have seen, can you help and implement this at other
Across the
places and
UAE.
across the UAE, and suddenly we'll have more happy people. Yeah.
Right, Light Middle East 2019.
Yeah.
You've been a key exhibitor at the show for many years.
Yes.
You're coming back again this year, of course, with all your partner brands and your team, but you're also launching a Dolly 2 compliant lighting control. Tell us about that and why it will be so good for lighting designers and contractors.
Our partners, Helver, I'm quite happy to say that Helver was the first company in the world to launch a Dolly 2 certified product into the market. And it's just a month old, and we are bringing that technology, that product, exhibiting at Light Middle East. We want to share this with one and all, the entire lighting. What are they going to benefit out of it? Simply put, Dolly 2, it doubles up the capacity that you are operating on as of today. And literally at no extra cost. So the financial part will be lucrative to the client and the contractor, and from a designer's perspective, they are going to enjoy, because now with less equipment they get more controllability, they get more flexibility, so they are free to design at their own will, whichever way they want to, without having this constraint that I can't go beyond this. That's the benefit of it.
Where do you see the future of the Middle East lighting, architectural lighting design industry?
I see it growing leaps and bounds, if not exponentially. But what is going to take shape is facade lighting and architectural lighting. That's where we are focusing on. That's what we are observing now. There is a race where each building is competing with each other. But sometimes when you see two buildings together and both are, DMX controlled and flashy and all, both lose their impact. And that's where I feel that architectural lighting and lighting control needs to be brought in to enhance the beauty, not just of that particular structure, but if you step back and see an entire skyline, then everything should be pleasing to the eye. So that's what I'm looking at.
Dharmendra, aside from lighting designers, of course, who else would you like to see at Light Middle East this year?
I would prefer to see students. I would prefer to see contractors who who can learn something more about technology, about lighting, about controls, and accept the fact that yes, it's not all about value engineering. The project needs certain kind of light, certain kind of controls, and as contractor, we must provide that for all parties' vision to be accomplished, because the client has hired a specialist lighting designer, a concept has been created, a vision has been created. There is adequate light fixture manufacturers and controls to back it up, but then it also needs the right impetus from the contractor, that he's willing to spend that money to ensure that the building looks what it was intended to look. So I would the reason I want young minds to come in, because lighting is a very interesting field, and it hasn't really deserved its position in the educational field that it should deserve.
And I guess on the education topic as well, I mean, you are quite heavily involved with Lightication.
We've always been fortunate that all editions of Lightications we've been involved. I love sharing things with young minds. They throw some crazy ideas, they throw quite a few challenging questions, and I feel that lighting industry, if they can pull in this young mind and fresh blood, the bar is going to be raised several top notches. The industry standard can just keep growing.
And that's of course what we need in this region, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all we need, the growth.
Dharmendra, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure, Gareth.
We look forward to seeing you at Light Middle East 2019.
Thank you very much for your time. Pleasure.